Hello, my beautiful angels. Welcome to Heart Space Atelier. I'm Henry. I'm your host. Welcome to this beautiful, vibey, magical, divine podcast space. I hope you're all doing very, very well, enjoying the beginning of summer. And I'm just sitting here. I just set up my new altar space in the kitchen. I know that's ironic, but in the kitchen, we are facing this beautiful, beautiful tree, and it's blossoming so abundantly right now. And whenever I sit here and I do my woo-woo shenanigans, or I meditate, or I record my stuff, I just gaze at this tree, and it brings me immense peace. So I just had to set it up here, you know? Also, I have my coconut oats coffee here. I highly recommend mixing coconut water with your coffee, or even coconut milk. This tastes so fucking refreshing. And I know it's 6 p.m. I shouldn't really be drinking coffee, but also I really wanted to film this episode today, but I was running errands basically all day, so I kind of felt a bit exhausted. So I just wanted to give myself that energy boost, and I feel it kicking in. I'm ready to go. I'm so deeply excited to talk about today's subject, because I feel like I have never done that on the podcast. We are in season 2 now, so I've been at it for a minute, and I feel like this has never really came across me, this topic. This has really never, come up in my mind where I was like, I need to film and record a podcast episode about this. But here I am. So today we're talking about how I started loving my body again. And trust me when I say I have had quite the roads with insecurities, absolutely hating myself and how I looked in my teenage years, and a shit ton of insecurities around my skin, specifically my skin, because I struggled with acne and, unclear skin for 10 years of my life. I think it started when I was 13, and then it, just kind of went all the way till I was like 23. Now I'm 24, so it hasn't really been that long since it's gotten better. And I have to say, there was like one breakout I had beginning of this year, because I was going through so much stuff and I was stressed the fuck out, like you guys have no idea. And it really broke me out. And ever since then, I feel like my skin has just gotten so much better. And also, to be like completely transparent, like I wear light concealer every day, and I usually put like this little smooth filter over my videos and stuff, because I also think it's like, showing up on the social media realm is kind of very vulnerable in a way, because everybody can perceive you, and they can literally stop to perceive you, and laser focus on that. So I don't know, it's just very intimate for me, but I also feel like I should be authentic and share you guys like what I'm doing. But like besides that, besides like covering up some spots or covering up some scars, my skin has gotten so much better. And I truly feel like that itself is a byproduct of me pouring as much love as I can into my body, and pouring as much self-love into myself as I'm gazing at myself in the mirror. And in every single thing I do when it comes to my physical body, I try to be as present and conscious and devoted to love as I possibly can. So we're just gonna like dive deep, and I want to share my things with you and shenanigans with you that has helped me the most out of all. Because trust me, it is not just being like, oh, you should love yourself and you should look in the mirror and you should say that. Because if you keep doing that and then you keep doing shit that goes completely against it, nothing is gonna happen. By the way, before we dive into the story time, I just want you guys to know that I'm almost sold out on my handmade crystal jewelry first drop on itcharlescharms.com. The link is in the bio. There's still a couple of crystal necklaces left. I'm wearing the fairy tale necklace, but also bittersweet news to you guys because this has officially sold out. I plan on making new ones and different versions. And also I'm gonna start working with secondhand crystal beads as well, because for the next chapter of my jewelry business, I want it to be as sustainable as it possibly can be. But yes, feel free to check the link down below and look at the jewelry that is still there and see what you feel drawn to, see what feels juicy and spicy to you. Anyway, so let me set you the scene. It is the year... What is the year? I would say it was like 2014, okay? It is the year 2014. I go to school. It's a normal day. And all of a sudden, there's something on my face. I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't understand why it was there. And I also couldn't understand why it was exactly where it was. Lord and behold, a pimple right on top of my nose. And I feel like this was like a pivotal moment that has made my insecurities its life started in that moment. My insecurities' life started in that moment, I think. Because as children, we don't really give a shit about how we look. We don't really give a shit about like our face or stuff. We are so deeply in our element. We go outside to play, we play in the dirt, we wear fun things, beautiful things. And we are just so deeply in our element and we find all of it beautiful. And we embrace our silliness and we just are without any judgment that we are pouring into ourselves, without any expectations about our physical body. But all of that really changes, and I feel like it's like that for everyone, because I think the most beautiful people, like even the ones who were not chopped in their teenage years, I feel like we all had insecurities that were so deeply highlighted and amplified during puberty. And so for me, when I was 13, I woke up, go to school, look in the mirror, see this freaking pimple. And I was like, okay, I've never seen this before, because before that, I have never really dealt with that, okay? And school was a very, very stressful time for me, and my school career is insane. It is the most wildly inconsistent thing I've ever had going on in my entire life. And so I would, start being very socially anxious during that time as well, when I was 13. I feel like that is when it all kind of just evolved in a bad way, So I got more stressed and I was super socially anxious and I didn't have any friends at school at all. And I was just sitting there being stressed all the time, having tummy aches literally every morning because I was so deeply scared to go to school, and I ended up not going to school a lot of the time. For some reason, I never felt like a year, because I'm just smart like that. I put in such low effort, but I still managed to always get through. Period, And so yeah, this is the time where it all started for me. And as the years went on, I switched schools. I went to this private school, had an emo phase, started hating myself even more. And I say this with a grain of salt because I would just I wish I could travel back in time and give little Henry a hug, because he should not have hated himself that much. He had no business hating himself that much. And I wish that at that time I had already realized that having skin issues, having acne, having imperfections lingering within your being is not a bad thing, and it is not at all any blockage within your stream of beauty. It is not something that levels down your beauty, that levels down your handsomeness, that levels down your magic. Because the thing also is, whatever imperfections we have, other people notice much less than it. Like, I would guess probably only 20 or even 10%, you know? Like, it's crazy how much we can laser focus on one thing, and that thing becomes bigger and bigger within our heads, even though in reality it is just not that big, you know? Same thing like when you go outside and you decide to laser focus on red cars, all you're gonna see is red cars. For me, it was red scars. You know, after breaking out numerous amounts of times, I also started having scars in my face because of the acne and stuff. And I would say when I was like 16, 17, it was like I was using skincare products that really did not care for the skin at all. They actually made me very inflamed, so I would look like a tomato most of the time. And I also didn't really know what a moisturizer was, like a juicy good moisturizer, because I had no one to tell me. Like, no one really had any idea what would be good for me. I didn't know, like, that I should be hydrating my skin instead of kind of like peeling it back like every single night because of this like crazy chemical peeling I used. Side note, anyway, you learn as you go, because now my skincare is amazing. So, but yeah, I was using the worst products, and I was so laser focused on everything that was going on in my face. And I feel like this also leads back to wanting to control things, because this has been a very present thing my whole life as well. Like, I struggled with OCD, I struggled with like controlling thoughts and stuff. So I think me having this extreme laser focus on my imperfections, and I'm doing air quotes because why did we decide that scars or acne or anything like that is imperfection? Like, who decided that? Because essentially it is just nature. It is a part of nature. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. And honestly, like, sometimes you could be the most grounded person ever and still have things like that, you know? So it is just part of nature. Like a rock is not perfect, you know? Like, it's not blurred. It is not like completely like glowy and like spotless, you know? Or like a tree. Its wood is so beautifully imperfect, you know? And I hate the word imperfect, but that's besides the point. So I was laser focusing so much on that, and it has definitely set the foundation after my childhood, because I feel like my childhood, like, I didn't give a shit about how I looked, you know? But when the teenage years hit, I feel like it kind of like pulled this foundation of self-love out and replaced it with a shit ton of insecurities. And it has taken me my whole 20s thus far to get it back into balance and to rip that insecurity out and replace it with self-love and also self-trust. Trusting myself that I still look beautiful despite any imperfections and any scars and any acne spots. So I want to share now what I did in order to get there, but I feel like this backstory was very needed, so you understand where I'm coming from. First and foremost, I truly think it is beneficial and very needed for you to realize what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For example, I had the emo phase, I had the long hair, long blue hair, long pink hair. I will never ever share pictures of this online. Not because I'm embarrassed, but I want to protect that little Henry that was so insecure. I really want to protect him, and I don't want to make fun of him, because every time I see those pictures, I laugh out loud. I respect him. But the issue there was, I found myself and my hair so ugly. Why? Because it just wouldn't work on me. I have the soft angel aesthetic, right? I always used to have it. Sometimes I dye my hair darker. It also looks very good, but essentially I always return back to the blonde and the, like, you know, like blushy skin and natural earthy colors. Like, that is my shit. That is my shit, okay? And back at that time, I had not found myself yet, because also, like, how can you find yourself at 16? But also, like, some people will find parts of themselves at 16 and then stay that way forever. I was definitely at the wrong place when it came to aesthetics, okay? But I'm also very grateful for that phase, because it taught me how to find myself. You have to be the mayor of Chop City at some point in order to have a glow up. Trust me, it is part of the growth. It is part of it. So I didn't realize that it was not working for me. The hair colors I had were not working on me. The tiny ass thin brows did not work for me, although thin brows look so amazing on some people. I can't even, like every time I see like a thin brow baddie, I'm in awe. I'm in awe because I've been there. It looked insane on me, okay? And so I would go years and years having like very long hair, because I also had like I was kind of traumatized by a hairdresser as a kid that cut it way too short. And after that, until I was like 16, I was very scared of cutting my hair. So I always had it like at like near shoulder length. And then I took a major step when I was 16. I decided to get like a nice cut, like the one that Leonardo DiCaprio had in Titanic. I was kind of going for that vibe, you know? And it boosted my confidence so much. Like, for the first time in my teenage years, I felt so deeply confident for one day, okay? Like, I'm not saying that it was like stayed consistent, but it definitely felt so much better. And I was so happy with it. I was so happy I did it. So sometimes getting a boost of confidence, actually sometimes it can be very healing and good for you to do something out of the norm, because at that time it was completely out of the norm for me, okay? Yeah, so I spent a lot of time trying to like find out what my aesthetic was. And at that time I also started posting on Instagram, and I had like this crazy aesthetic account. If I find pictures, I'm gonna put screenshots here. And I was embracing this like rather vintage and dark academia vibe, which really suited me, and I really loved that. And there's a reason I felt so pulled towards that aesthetic, because it suited me a lot, you know, like this autumnal dark academia, autumn coat, like dark red, dark brown, black, white, you know, like earthy colors again. Really, really was in alignment with me. So as I was diving deeper and deeper into seeing what actually suits me, I started creating more self-love within me, because I realized that not everything looks bad on me after all, you know? And also I do want to mention, I know that I'm coming from a place of looking conventionally attractive, okay? So like all the stuff that you heard, I promise you, I did not deep down know that I was pretty at all. Like, I was so caught up in the cloud of hatred, okay? Like, I was not a pick me. You guys can trust me on this. I have never been a pick me in my entire life. I would never go around and be like, oh my God, I'm so ugly. Or like, oh my God, I was so ugly, you know? No. Back in the day, I genuinely fucking believed it. But even then, I would not seek attention from people, you know? Like, I would never do that. Especially nowadays that I'm, like, I love myself and I'm confident in myself, like, there ain't no reason. So yeah, I was diving deeper and deeper and deeper, and I started loving myself and being like, oh my goodness, wait, this actually looks kind of good on me. But then I feel like things started becoming a bit more influenced again by the skin issues, okay? Because as I was more and more on social media, I saw all these beautiful faces with the clearest skin, and I started comparing myself, and I started, you know, noticing other things in my body. Like, there was a time period where I was really insecure about being skinny, because the thing is, like, I am very skinny. I can eat whatever the fuck I want. Like, the only way for me to gain weight, I think, is if I would go to the gym like at least 3 times a week and start eating like a shit ton of like I don't know, what's it called? Like creatine and like protein and stuff. And I do eat a lot of protein, but apparently not enough. Like my tummy is super fucking small, okay? So it is just nature. I can't do anything about it. But I'm also not like, oh my god, I'm so skinny, help. Because also, in this fucked up world, it is all of a sudden like a beauty standard, which I think is also insane, because there's so many people out there who go on Ozempic or who try to get as thin as motherfucking possible to meet that beauty standard, and the heck, So yeah, thankfully I never had any issues with the other side of the coin, as in punishing myself and self-harming myself in terms of like food limiting or like stuff like that. Like my heart goes out to anyone who's ever went through that. But yeah, at some point I was like, okay, this is truly deeper insecurity. It's not going away. And the skin issue really bothered me. And sometimes it still does, Sometimes I look in the mirror and I am just pissed at my scars, Or like if I don't religiously change my bed sheets, my pillow covers, I also break out. Like, it's a very sensitive thing going on here, okay? And I have to run a very strict program in order for it to stay clear. And then I started to kind of like shift my awareness when it comes to my skin. I started shifting it with affirmations, self-love affirmations. So I think it was like in 2020 when I began just listening to self-love affirmations religiously and reinforcing them every single time I looked in the mirror. And simultaneously, I also had some kind of glow up going on that evolved over the years. And I think I truly, truly believe that was because I spoke those affirmations every day, every time I looked in the mirror. And I never, ever, 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 ever said again that I was ugly or that I didn't like this about myself. As I said, very strict program. I took all of the negative shit that my mind told me about myself out of my mind, and I replaced it with loving thoughts and loving affirmations. This is the most important thing, because if you have deeply running insecurities, you have to pull that root out and recreate that foundation. And the best way you can do that is by listening to self-love affirmations, doing them, saying them, practicing them, living them. Living them is the most important part. And as I was doing all of this, I also started getting deeper and deeper into my spiritual journey. So I started working with crystals, and I started like using rose quartz intentionally. Okay, y'all, I had to change my position because both of my feet just fell asleep and I was struggling. Okay, I was pacing around here like for a hot minute, being like, Anyway, so what I was talking about, I started getting into crystals and using rose quartz as like a self-love amplifier. And I totally understand if not everybody believes in crystals. I also think that crystals are only powerful if we declare them to be powerful. As with every single thing in life, I could take this fan, and I could be like, every time I do this, like, I get abundance, like, flown into my life, And it would have the same effect. You can alchemize anything. It doesn't have to be crystals, This could also be my self-love fan. And this is crazy for me to say because I can't make crystal jewelry, but I truly think that you can use anything. For me, I love crystals because they have such an incredible sparkly inner child energy. And even as a child, I was always obsessed with rocks, stones, and crystals, and I loved all things sparkly. And I had like this huge box of like sparkly marbles. So I've been in a game, okay? I've been in the game. But anyway, so I started doing that. I started doing those self-love affirmations, living them, actually embracing them, and like stepping into them deeply, because I said in the beginning, like, if you just stand in front of your mirror saying, I love myself, and then you go on to absolutely hate yourself and choose the worst things for yourself and continuously compare yourself to other people, nothing's going to change. And I do want to talk about comparing yourself to other people on the internet as well. You have to find people on the internet if you are going to compare yourself, okay? You have to find people on the internet that look similar to you. This has helped me a lot. Go on Pinterest and find people that look like you and that you find beauty in the people that look like you. It has helped me so incredibly much. And I realized, like, oh my goodness, so many people see certain qualities that I have as their own beauty standard, And there is so many different beauty standards. I think to think that it is only one or two things is very toxic, because we are all our own beauty standard, okay? We should not ever try to look like somebody, because we are meant this way. And this way is special, period. You could be listening to this and being also enraged because I'm sitting here saying all of this while being conventionally attractive, and you could think like, oh my goodness, like, ugh. I think that I have a couple of points to make, okay? And whether you believe it or not, like, I know how it feels. I know how it feels to look in the mirror and be deeply insecure. I know how it feels to absolutely hate being in pictures, And I only speak from experience. And obviously, like, genes matter. Like, I'm not going to say that, like, crystals reshaped my face, although I also do kind of believe that, okay? Like, call me crazy. Call me fucking crazy. I don't care. This is my experience. This is my podcast. I can say whatever the fuck I want, okay? But I truly believe the energetic work I have done has made my eyes sparkle more, has made my aura become lighter and brighter, and has had my face softened, okay? I truly believe that, because as you do energy work, you become more peaceful, you become more grounded, and guess what? If you are more grounded and peaceful, it's going to reflect on your physical state, your beauty as well, Of course we look chopped if we are always stressed as fuck. Of course we look chopped. And that's okay, okay? That is okay. But I truly believe that energetic work can shift things that nothing else can, because you could get all the plastic surgeries. You could go to Korea and like have all the plastic surgeries done on you. But if you have an ugly soul and you are continuously stressed and you are just like in this very dark energy of hating yourself, of being constantly overwhelmed and stressed, then that is going to show through all of the plastic surgeries you could get. So, just thinking out loud. But yes, as I was saying about the Pinterest thing, I mentioned this because it has helped me so much. Like, you have to find your beauty standard represented in areas where other people appreciate it, You could absolutely dislike yourself, but some people will see so much beauty in you, And that is something that cannot be taken away from you. Now, I also want to talk a bit about something very vulnerable about, my skin insecurities and stuff. And I think it has gotten so much better. I feel so much better. I don't mind the scars I have. I don't look in the mirror in the night after I did my skincare and my face is full of zinc cream. Like, I never look at myself disliking myself anymore, because I have also come to realize that, as I said, like, my scars do not block my beauty. And there's something, though, that I'm still struggling with, and that is being perceived. Being perceived on a quote-unquote ugly day. I was at a social gathering recently, and I put this outfit on. It was like a full black outfit, and I felt very good about it. But for the first half of the evening, I felt very, very, very self-conscious about it, because truth be told, I feel incredibly confident in comfortable and baggy clothes, like skater boy clothes, like baggy, like cozy, comforty clothes, okay? Like that is where I feel the most comfortable and confident in, because I love feeling comfortable and confident at the same time. So I had this black outfit on, looked very good, looked very handsome, but the second I stepped out, I got so insecure, because it is just something I'm not used to. I was sitting there and I was so like, I did not like it, okay? Like I was continuously like thinking about like, oh my god, I must look stupid, which is insane because I look good in black, okay? But I was thinking about it and I was like, no one will ever notice that. And also, people notice your vibe more than your outfit. And I recently heard somebody say that people on a night out, they will remember your vibe and your energy and the way you show up to the conversations, but they will not remember your clothes. They will not remember how you look like most of the time, like every single detail. They will not remember your makeup, they will not remember your hair, they will not remember your clothes, but they will remember how you make them feel. I remembered that. In that moment, I was like, yeah, no one's gonna notice. You know, if I just sit here and pretend that I'm like super confident, like who's gonna notice? You know? So this really helped me put things into perspective, because people remember your energy more. People remember your energy more, you know? And also, people generally will not even notice most of your tiny little insecurities, you know? And you really, really have to strengthen this belief and like find peace in it, because there are some people who may have much bigger insecurities, yet they find a channel of even more confidence than you do, you know? And there's people who cannot hide their insecurities, you know? And you having maybe some breakouts or stuff, like, that is nothing, you know? So I also think it is important to remember the privilege in that most of our insecurities are very small, and we shouldn't pour all of this fear and self-loathing into it, because that is just, we don't deserve that as souls, you know? We are multi-dimensional beings. We reincarnated as earth angels, and we are out here judging ourselves, feeding those insecurities. Like, we have no business doing that. So yeah, that was a shorter version of my journey, but you know, I think I still have a long way to go. I'm not fully where I want to be yet. I have days sometimes where I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my goodness, what the fuck is going on? But then I also have days where I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, you're the baddest. I'm absolutely in love, you know? It fluctuates. You know, it used to fluctuate more. I feel like I've been more constant with it, of just being okay with myself, even if there's days where I don't necessarily feel like insanely pretty, like today, for example, because I was out all day and it was very sunny and warm. So, you know, my skin is kind of oily, my hair is not great, hence the little star things here. It does not limit me anymore, because in the past I would have wanted to perfectionize it before I could even hit the record button, whereas now I see that there's still beauty within me present, and I choose to focus on that existing beauty instead of the illusion of imperfections. Because you would never know, especially in this lighting, you would never know that I was running errands all day and stuff, and I don't feel as fresh, and like freshly done, if you know what I mean. But I know, but does that stop me? No. So this is a reminder to yourself, no one's ever gonna know too. Just do your thing, boo. Do your thing. Go fly high into the world and don't ever be stopped by insecurities, If you have people telling you that you are beautiful, you have to accept that. And it is your job to accept that and to use it to your advantage. Because the thing is also, if you have pretty privilege, but you are a pygmy, that is not going to bring you far in life. That is exhausting. That is so exhausting. So please, for the love of God, no matter who you are, what you look like, embrace your beauty. Embrace your beauty. You could reach places, situations, milestones that you would have never imagined if you just started allowing yourself to love yourself and to love your imperfections, Because at the end of the day, it's all an illusion. And at the end of the day, the body is so temporary. Life is so temporary. So we must treat it with kindness. Because this thing, this shell, carries us through our beautiful human life experience. So please love it more, because you deserve it. No matter who you are and what you look like. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I truly, truly, deeply enjoyed yapping about this today. If you would like to support me, and if you would like to have a one-on-one session with me, feel free to do so by checking out the links down below. I am now offering one-on-one coaching sessions where we dive deep together, where we meditate together, where we find solutions how to level you the fuck up. I also offer tarot readings, pre-recorded or a live call. And I also have my beautiful online course called The Easy Life, which is only $11. $11 for a limited time. I just wanted to make it as accessible as possible because that course is juicy as fuck and I put my whole magic in there, so don't know what else to tell you. It's fucking amazing, so you should check that out. If you enjoyed this episode, please do let me know. I would love to hear from you and hear your story and, what thoughts came up for you while listening or watching this episode. And I'm always excited to hear from you. And thank you again for supporting this podcast. If you would like to support it more, feel free to give it a 5-star rating on Spotify. That does help me out a lot. And yes, I love you so much, and I will see you next week on Heart Space Atelier. Goodbye.